Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Advanced Division here up in SPCS. I am joined by Thor and I am Nyah. We have two OSU teams, the Varsity and the JV. Thor, how are you feeling about this?
If there's one thing I like, it is some healthy competition, especially between, two teams that I wouldn't be surprised actually scrim against each other way more often than they should if one of them is the varsity team and one is the junior varsity team. So if there's one thing we're definitely going to see, it might be some trash talking between these two teams. But before we head there, let's look at the current standings of the advanced division for both OSU varsity and OSU JV. They're both at that 2-0 scoreline. So at the end of tonight's match, one of them is well going to take that first loss of the season.
Yeah, a number 2 seed heading up against a number 6. I expect the number 6 to take some action against the number 2. Obviously, they are partnered together. They know their tactics probably here. A varsity team taking on a JV junior varsity team. But yeah, it's only a map differential as we get to see a 6-1 and a 6-2. So this should definitely be interesting. Both teams are tied up in their record 2-0. But this is the advanced division, and Thor, I loved this division back in Season 1. I covered it a lot, and there's so much action that is packed in this advanced division.
Exactly. And I think that just comes to the fact that the skill level that we do get at this advanced division can be entirely different, right? I think if there's one thing that's very interesting about advanced division teams at the end of the day is sometimes some of them do fall back into what might be their comfort picks, what might be a comfort composition for all of them at the end of the day. So sometimes what may be the meta really doesn't appear in advance, and that what makes this type of division very interesting to watch.
Yeah, and we do actually have the rosters for these teams, and let's take a look at the OSU varsity. This is a team that has been coming up into the start of the season very, very strong with that 2-0 record in the Swiss. But let's talk it out. We have four Torbjorns showcasing there, but we have Angelo Laguza, Famas, Ginger, Papaguan, and Shotgatsu, which all those players are going to be ones to watch here heading up into the JV team, which the JV team is also exciting.
Yeah, you want at least your JV team to be hyper competitive against OSU Varsity as we hope to take a look at the rosters of the JV team. So on that JV team, the starting roster seems to be a bit of a mix. You have Erasmu, Imabuz, Make It Rain, Pizza, and Pressure Chef. And I think if there's one thing this OSU teams have a lot in common is there might actually just be very strong Torb enthusiasts. So I wouldn't be surprised if we might see some Torbjorn gameplay today.
Yeah, and for the ones that don't know, today is Pokemon Day. That's always exciting, right? I actually got my little mic stand, uh, my mic arm decorated, wearing a little bit of an Alolan themed style. But yeah, this is OSU JV versus OSU Varsity, and our map type here is going to be Busan starting out. We do actually have the bans from both of these teams, and it's going to be exciting to see what they could do with the bans, and it's going to be this Bastion and Juno.
It's an interesting pick, right? Normally when you see a Bastion ban, that's not something you normally see on a daily to day basis. So this means that this varsity side of OSU understands that maybe this JV squad likes to be a bit silly in their Busan maps and bring out that Bastion. So at the end of the day, we're going to see if this does make a huge impact against this JV squad. On the other hand, JV though banning Juno just means that this verticality, the speed ring, that orbital ray, those are now all out of the picture. And orbital ray is such a huge ultimate to work with at the end of the day. So I would like to see how these picks at the end of how these bans at least impact the type of gameplay and the type of matchups we're going to see.
Yeah, and even these perks coming up into this week of SPCS, it's going to be a big game changer for any of the teams here. I know that I got to cover a couple matches before this one, and I got to see a lot of Bastion played, so not too surprised with that Bastion ban, but this is Busan here, Thor, and what do you expect these teams to run here up on Busan?
Honestly, depends on what map we are starting with, because there's nothing but straightforward for certain types of maps. For example, if we are going to downtown, I wouldn't be surprised if we're going for something either a brawl or a type of dive. Rarely is it something that is pokier in concept, but if we're going to something like Sanctuary, for example, that is leaning more towards to maybe taking different angles with that poke, something a bit more disruptive. So I wouldn't be surprised if a team rolls out with a Wrecking Ball for that kind of map. And Mecha Base at the end of the day is, I personally think, the free-for-all map where I think anything goes.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, that's usually something I say around whenever I'm up on color. Mecha Base does provide that brawl variant, die variant, poke could be used there, rush, basically everything like how you said. But Busan, this is going to be an exciting starting map for our map set here in our advanced division. And, yeah, we will be kicking this one off very, very shortly.
I think if there's one thing we're also going to see today between these two teams is one of them is going to finally get their first loss on a control map. So it's this seems to be a start of a lot of firsts for these two teams.
Yeah, and I am very excited to see this. Two OSU teams, one being Varsity and JV. It's going to be a lot of action packed. And as you said, there's going to be probably that trash talk, right, up in the community of OSU in between this Varsity and JV side. But I expect this to be a high capacitor going up into this Mecha base. And as we do get to see some compositions.
Yep. No, get off the Juno. Who allowed this Juno, guys? Lobby. But no, from what we're already seeing, it seems like this JV squad prefers something that's a bit brawlier that can also poke. Looking just at that DPS lineup in partnership with the Sig. That Sig, depending how much enabled they are, can be brawlier, can be pokier. So it'll be interesting to see. Whereas OSU Varsity, sticking to this Ramatra, means I think they might want to speed this up a bit on their end. So it's a lot of poke phasing now.
Yeah, and if you're Angelo here up on this Ramatra, you're going to get a little aggressive, but you got to be careful here. You're looking at OSU JV, which are taking so much space against this OSU Varsity side, and Ima is just doing much more up into it, but a little bit of picks coming back and forth, trade after trade, but Fize able to get 3 there.
Thor doing lots of work. That should be clean up for OSU JV, and that point unlocks in their favor first. So what I would be interested in is how these players are going to start picking the types of perks that come into play, but they're already taking the high out ground for OSU JV, trying to get this pick onto Femas, and that's a huge stagger at the end of the day. So if I'm OSU Varsity, I think a lot of this is just going to be poke phase, waiting to regroup and not forcing any other cooldowns from their side. They have to force the cooldowns from OSU JV, but I'm a boost, very close to that flux already, doing a lot of work along with the back.
Yeah, and that's going to be exciting to watch, but look at that, a little bit of a TP placement coming out from their side. OSU JV is playing this with wonderful space, just trying to focus the target here, but that shield is up. But if you're I'm a Booze, you were taking that pressure, but look at this little back cap here.
I mean, a little bit of back cap, no one really pressures it. If I'm OSU JV, that's a fine thing to do. Give the point a bit to the opposite side, but now that they don't have the high ground anymore, this is looking a bit dicey for them.
Yeah, I mean, Fize able to get a pick up on the FAMAS, but Angelo up onto Sleptic, and look at this, able to get 1, and that's taking out the Ramatra, but Squishy Squid able to get Fize, so you don't got that Torb anymore, but you're looking at OSU Varsity, which could just position back up into a good space against this OSU JV team, but they need to be careful.
Yeah, even with the back cap of Varsity, that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, especially when everyone else from the JV squad goes back to point. But Angelo Gogu's kind of in a tough spot. This might be a huge stagger, and if I'm OSU Varsity, this is back to the drawing board. I see no point in really just sticking, getting that any more picks, or getting themselves picked off. Now, I want to see from them is this very coordinated engage, whether that's going to be with a Sojourn ult or Femas on that Genji Blade at the end of the day. If I'm Silver's line, I want to at least save beat for that at the end of the day. But it looks like Pizza is at least preemptively using this Molten Core to prevent an engagement. I don't think that's a great idea, but we'll see if that's going to bite them in the ass as we continue with this move.
Yeah, let's see what happens here from both of the teams. OSU Varsity needs to put some points up on the board, and as we get to see that Sojourn ultimate being popped in Anio, but look at this, Ima Booz is taking Papa out and saying no, no, no. Ima is just going to control more space up in this overtime ticking. But yes, there is so much pressure going down. Beat getting popped, but this blade from Moss here, able to get silver, possibly getting a little more up into this. But if you are Angela Gusa, you're able to get another, but pressure and Zay. Look at this. If you are Ima, you're just able to shut that down. And OSU Varsity, not too much points up on the board there. Sitting at a 90% against a 100. OSU JV, though, setting it very, very paced and strong.
Yep, it looks like this JV squad at the end of the day understood at least the idea that how they wanted to play their composition. They're okay with the varsity team flipping the point, right? It's just a few percentage, especially how much percentage they've already ticked up. So I'm pretty interested I find it's pretty interesting that this junior varsity is doing pretty well, understanding that they're okay with giving things up. Now, OSU Varsity, on the other hand, I am not angry at this composition. If you are playing a Pharah, I'm pretty sure Femas is probably switching to a Pharah or an Echo, one or the other. There you go.
Yeah.
You want a Flyer, and at this point, if you know that this JV squad doesn't really have a hit scan player, you will take value in that. But maybe that's the hit scan.
Yeah, and a fantastic TP here coming out from OSU JV, controlling that high space. But you do get that resurrection if you are Sizu up on OSU Varsity. But yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see. But look at Ima just trying to control this, working with their placements, but does need to back up and does pop the shield.
Yeah, and might as well play this corner, wait to at least regain those shields back and your shields and your armor. But they already have captured point. This is a great spot to be in, especially if you want to bunker down. But with 6 tech stick down, that's not as of a great idea.
And Angela Gusa might be throwing some punches here, and Papa is able to get up into that kill feed. More punches getting thrown. This is like a boxing ring in my eyes. But yeah, OSU Varsity, very nice, clean, and well done from them. Now they can put some percentage up on this board.
Fairmont really started pretty out late on this Pharaoh as well, already having Barrage. So I don't think JV has an answer to this yet, other than really just pressuring out Femas and making sure that they aren't able to get this Barrage out. But, you know, this is easier said than done, and it looks like they have TP to the high ground. I think that's something they want, and, you know, pressure out Varsity, but I don't think that's where the point is. So that might be a bit tougher than they would have liked.
Yeah, and I love what they're doing here with that TP placement, but you got to be careful here if you are the Varsity. You're playing some sort of a low space against the JV, which the JV, all they need to do is just take more out of you. And, I mean, they got stuff to do it, but look at this. Takes you able to get the melee. Oh my god.
Yeah, looks like trade beat already online for this JV squad, and huge flux from Amabus. That should seal the deal, even with that Barrage taking Septics. I think at least you should be able to keep everyone else up as they are healthy, and a symbol just to cinch it up, make sure you have it still unlocked. Might be a good thing to at least extend if you are this JV squad. Still, trades coming along from both sides.
Yeah, JV is running up in the percentage numbers right now, sitting at 57, but OSU Varsity needs to get back up onto this one. Ima is just going to try and get more. Papa getting that one up onto the kill feed, up on the Seleptic, but Papa once again up onto Ima. And, I mean, if you're talking about this DPS line here, Thor, they are doing the work. Papa once more. OSU Varsity is going to take this.
Yep, OSU Varsity understands at least that JV doesn't really have a hit scan, so Pizza having to switch to an Echo out of this Torbjorn at least makes it a bit more difficult for them to get things done. That's what you want Pizza to do against, you know, Femas on Power, but that's easier said than done, especially when there's a Mercy just hard pocketing them in that air. Easy dodge, but a rotate from Coast is how they want to get things started off for JV.
Yeah, and Papa able to pop this ultimate, but the wall is there to stop anything happening. But if you're looking at the kill feed, more kills going out forth, and Papa is always there with them. but punches are getting thrown back and forth, and OSU Varsity once again with this retake.
Yep, good back and forth, and I think this at least allows JV to have another fight window online for them, and that should at least get everyone to a healthy HP as this next fight, but maybe get the pick out of this Mercy and Farah if Septic can just land all those shots. Easier said than done, obviously. But Barrage back online along with this Valve, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see another Mercy pistol or melee kill from this diving Mercy, because that's what happened the last time they Valve.
Yeah, it could very much happen, and the Valkyrie is popped, but if you are OSU JV, you are falling apart to this OSU Varsity side. Valkyrie's still up in the air, but that Annihil is trying to find something up on that point, but FAMAS able to get so much there. And Thor, looking at it, OSU has just set themselves back up in a great spot against this OSU JV side.
Yes, the Varsity team just sending it right back at them, and I think this Sanctuary map might just be the deciding factor of who can get more done in a map that's inherently more pokey, but I think is still going to be enabled by some sneaky TP plays, because at least from how I'm seeing this JV squad want to play, they are really utilizing these TPs of Pressure Chef. And I think what they need to work on is to at least have more variety in how they do it. They seem to like going for these very set plays, and this Varsity squad just knows how to adjust to them. And knowing that this JV squad probably doesn't have a really solid hit scan player, maybe Varsity sticks to what worked in downtown, and you're just hoping if you're JV that you're able to at least bunker and sustain through this long distance spiral poke.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. I'm throwing those towards OSU Varsity, but if you are Papa, maybe you could find an initial pick here for the OSU Varsity. But yeah, I like what both of the teams are doing, but look at this. The point is getting contested, and FAMAS is getting pocketed, as we get to see. But OSU Varsity and OSU JV still fighting it very, very hard. Much Squishy Squid, though, up in the kill feed, and FAMAS more going up on the ways of OSU Varsity, and it is all around for this OSU Varsity team. And, I mean, they're catching them all at this point.
Yep, and I think a lot of this has to be JV having to make these swaps to adjust to it. Yes, this swap out of the Sim Corp into an Ash Echo might be the answer. I think you need to make this Mercy feel uncomfortable. You need to make the Farah feel uncomfortable. And this composition change on the DPS line can do just that, as Rock already forced out of I'm a Booze.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. Can Papa get an initial here for this OSU Varsity side to take more percentage out of this one? They're just trying to scout something here, but FAMAS does have this barrage, which could be popped any second now. FAMAS was up in the kill feed, but you're looking at this pressure here from Angelo, and it's back and back, going forth, walking up in the IMA, but if you are Sleptic, able to get Says You, and you're able to just get more out of this. OSU JV still running up in the numbers here, and they do have these ultimates.
If they have these ultimates, I don't think you need them, because you've got the support picks at the end of the day. Says You already died pretty early on, right? With that, nice kills from Sleptic, who understands that they need to start contributing to doing damage against these flyers. 8 ultimates online in this lobby, make it 9 soon if Pizza gets a bit more stickies out, so you're going to be seeing an ult fiesta. It's a lot then about what we're using to engage, and if I'm OSU Varsity, I think one way you could start the engagement might be something with a Soldier ult, or maybe that Mercy Valkyrie, but if I'm JV, you're hoping that Silver at least stays alive throughout the second game.
So 2 ultimates, 3 ultimates getting popped up on the side, but a very unfortunate pick there. Squishy does die. Shune was popped, but you look at the OSU Varsity side, they were fumbling there. What happened? I mean, OSU JV, though, taking wonderful positioning.
Yeah, OSU JV understood that to attack a specific core at a given time, not splitting themselves up. You could see from the feed they were stacked together, went into that Kiriko rush with their own Lucio beat, right? Even if Papa did pop that overclock, they had that beat, they had that rush, that at least sustains them through all of it. So if I'm JV, I need Pressure Chef to build towards that Bob, at least sustain the point and keep it alive for them.
Yeah, and that's, Tracer player from Moss able to get more up in that. And the Annihilation getting 2. So OSU Varsity back up in the percentage running. Very, very well done. But look at those ultimates up on the side of OSU JV. What do you say about those?
I think at the end of the day, you want Pressure Chef to at least hold on to Bob. Don't use that right now. Use that as a sustain, as a stall, maybe late mid to late fight. If anything, if you want to engage with something, it might be with the ult of Fize, or at least Fize at least making sure to stay alive in this next engagement. For Varsity, all they really want is to do poke damage to at least build towards their ult, and that pick out of save you is already massive.
Pressure and Pize able to get up in the kill feed. Bob is out, and duplication as well. OSU JV able to find more picks up onto this Varsity side of their OSU, but you're looking at the numbers, percentage running. OSU JV still working with that dupe, possibly throwing the pulse bomb up in there. It's not going to get much.
It's not going to get much, but you at least want to get some damage into the enemy team. Force them to at least waste a bit more time trying to get that HP back. But if I'm JV, my next goal is to build towards an ultimate, or at least in this dry fight, because they have nothing to work with, whereas Varsity is ticking towards their own rush, and even has a pulse bomb already online.
Yeah, overtime is ticking here. OSU Varsity needs to get back up onto this. They have a pulse bomb to do something. Famas needs to hit a massive one if they want to shoot this one back for the Varsity. And look at this. They're able to get more picks up in this kill feed to lead them forward. Popping Kitsune Rush if you are, says you. Maybe this could be beneficial, but you look at Slapdick popping theirs. It's back and forth, but the pulse could possibly got something there. Doesn't. Flux is available here for Ima. Will be popping. Could possibly get something here, and will. And looking at that, if you are OSU JV, maybe you'll have the numbers, because OSU JV still fighting Angelo here against that Annihil. And yeah, Thor, it's looking to be the OSU JV by far. The numbers are shortening for this OSU Varsity side.
Yeah, great job for the junior Varsity for closing it out at the end of the day and sending the Varsity team to its first control map type loss. So if that's something that they could at least have in their, bragging rights pool, right? After this match, right? Because at the end of the day, these are two teams that are from the same university playing against each other. But hey, if there's one thing we've seen from this Varsity squad, is they at least have an idea of how their JV team wants to play, and making the changes to put, these players into a position that may be outside their comfort. And at the end of the day, even if JV was out of their comfort for a bit by switching to heroes they weren't locking in at the first time, they showed up, and I think that's what matters.
Yeah, and this is a great intercollegiate matchup, as you did just quote. Both of the teams are probably going to have some trash talk, right? But yeah, taking a first control loss is, I would probably say, big for both of the teams, because now one of them can learn off of that. So good factors in between, but this does look bad for Varsity by far. This is 0-1 right now, but Varsity could shoot right back. How do you think about that, Thor?
I think this is going to be just based then on maybe a map type, a map that they are more comfortable playing, or might lean in towards their, I guess, preferred playstyle more. Because from what it seems like they want to play, they prefer to play something that's more of a brawl poke hybrid, right? Not much of something that's divey. So you want maybe something with a longer sight line at the end of the day that makes a brawl v brawl kind of setup lean more into their favor. Because if there's one thing we at least saw, is that their Sojourn could at least land the shots and get the kills as needed, along with Angelo on that Ramatra.
Yeah, and we do have a map pick decided from one of the sides, and it's going to be Watchpoint Gibraltar. That is a exciting one. That's Winston home territory. Maybe we will get to see some dive played there. Who knows? But Thor, this is a phenomenal map to play brawl and poke and dive.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think what it at least makes it a bit more challenging to play is something maybe like a brawl. If there's one thing that a Gibraltar from time and time again is known for is that divier type of composition, right? And allows for more high grounds of pokes. So when you're looking at maybe these bans, right, you could see that there's already some level of mind games coming to play. Varsity deciding to ban out this Hazard, which honestly, like, as much as he does have that mobility, still prefers to brawl it out just a bit, right? And it's a divey brawl kind of character, so it leans maybe into the brawlier playstyle that JV likes to play. On the other hand, JV banning this Tracer means that you need someone else doing that cart presence, right? Tracer on a map like Gibraltar just really known for being that cart presence of pushing it, especially in that first point and maybe sometimes that second point.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's gonna make FAMAS play a different hero here. Up in this one, we did get to see FAMAS play that Tracer, so no more Tracer for you, bud. But yeah, without the Hazard, it's gonna be less aggressive, I would probably say. So you don't gotta worry. I could see Bastion still getting played here for high amounts of damage pressure. That's something that I actually got to see throughout a different space. But yeah, this is definitely gonna be exciting. But yeah, Thor, this is Watchpoint Gibraltar. We're here up in SPCS Advanced Division.
I mean, if there's something tried, true, and tested, at least comes with a very set playstyle and setup, it's something like Watchpoint Gibraltar. Now, if there's something that I actually would want to see, I think like maybe something that could be added production down the line is something like, hey, maybe to know what perks some of these heroes get, because or some of these players pick at the end of the day, because I think that's one thing we have very different between now and just last week's set of games. We have perks, but I think we aren't at the current setup where we can see those perks.
Yeah, I got to see that Aaron color meme there up on X where he's dancing, but it's Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl. But yeah, it's funny. I feel like perks are a great addition to the game. But yeah, it would be a lot of interesting mindsets probably for both the teams, because I'm not too sure if this is correct, but I think they're going to be reworking up on some.
I mean, I think it makes sense to rework on some, because I think there are some characters wherein when you look at the perk options, there's just a given, right? There's just a given perk that just makes sense, like, which is ultimately the better one. Like, for example, just thinking about it, that Kiriko perk for the Major,
Yeah, like
where
double
like the infinite
TP or
TP,
something,
that
yeah.
is infinitely better than the speed boost that you get from popping a Suzu, especially given how long the cooldown of a Suzu is, right? So
Exactly.
there's some of those where like you kind of need to tweak some of them, or at least change up some of them so that there's more variety in the picking. But what we do have is picks from these teams, and we are seeing a Bastion from the side of JV on their attack with a standard true tested backline of Anna Brig TPing to their usual spots. So a lot of this is going to probably be enabling the swings with the Bastion, but already Vortex on the high ground trying to contest that, and this anti that has to tie. Case in point, swaps. Where are swaps? I just noticed now.
Yeah, and OSU Varsity, they are just trying to make something happen here up on their defense. OSU JV, though, taking wonderful space, but you look at this scope here from Era, and yeah, you got to be a little aware of pop-up on that Widow. All it takes is Papa to get a nasty shot, as we almost get to see there. But yeah, both teams running great compositions.
Already picks on the side in favor of OSU JV, and Top of One has to already go back into the spawn, wait for their HP to go back up, as the cart is already just under that precarious bridge with FAMAS just watching over its fleet. On the Bastion is an immense pick, and after pick, that's what you just need for this JV squad, especially this anti on Vortex.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happening here as we get to see Vortex just go win, but you could be a little scared here if you are Squishy heading up against a Sigma, but I like what Squishy is doing, curing the tank, making Vortex go back up in, but Ima's just been escorting this, and if you are the Varsity, you would have to be aware of that.
Yeah, but at least you want to get another fight on point, and that's exactly why your Brig goes on
Oh,
the
nice drop.
part and at least survives. But already one by one, there's still some contest on the part with the Brig staying alive. Flux already committed to at least push the point further.
Yeah, and as we get to see here, OSU JV, you are up in a great position here with multiple picks coming from Ima, and Pressure able to get one up onto Vortex, but Vortex able to get Silver here, so if you are Silver, you're going to have to regroup with your team coming back from spawn, but you're looking at the ultimate economy here, Thor. What can we say about this?
Ultimate economy, you already know Seizu is either going to wait for that Genji Blade to be online, or at least give it to Vortex to
Oh,
at
that's so
least get the
unfortunate.
pick. And that's a huge pick off of Pressure Chef, who already has ultimate to work with. If I am the JV squad with those, you know, slow
Ooh, from what?
staggers coming from Femas somewhere in the behind the scenes, I would just regroup back and spawn. So let's take a look
Yeah.
at what let's take a look at what we have. Right? Both sides have their nano. Great. Probably expecting a nano blade from the side of Varsity. Tried, tested, true, still a good combo. But where this nano goes for Erasmo is probably to either sustain the breakthrough, maybe a rally, or if they drop low, or on this stage.
Oh, and look at this. Pressure able to pop that Bastion, just trying to put those missiles somewhere. Will torpedoes hit? That's the question that we want to answer here. But OSU Varsity does use the Nano there, not getting anything out of it. But yeah, this is now interesting. Both of the teams are playing these positions as we get to see Papa just trying to find something, but they know where they're, located.
Yeah, and I think it's because they want to stack together. Great whip shot to get this monkey off so that's less slam damage coming in and allows them to rotate easily through that. Close room, high ground, but Sama still holding onto the blade.
Oh, look at this. And a Primal is ready to go. You're stunned up in a room. You're going to have to pop it. Sleep is there. And you're looking at OSU JV, which did just pop the rally to sustain that. And they're doing a great job for it. Vortex still just trying to find something here. OSU Varsity needs something. But you look at that Bionic Grenade hitting Vortex. It's not going to be a good thing, right? But a Nano and the Sigma Ultimate getting popped. You are in a lot of pressure and depth if you are one of these teams, and one is controlling so very much good here. And Famas there, and as it seems to be Vortex, wonderful little stagger, I would probably say.
Yeah, I think we're hitting that point of Gibraltar where, just getting through these doorways is as oppressive enough as it is. That's why a lot of teams can get held on this second point, because once the defense has this high ground chip, it becomes harder to at least push through, especially that's taken to the point. There is no tracer to push the cart as the chaos is ongoing. So if I'm...
Oh,
you sleep!
Oh, wait, that was actually insane. So that could have been very bad. But Moss does get back up into that, but a crazy little sleep there. Was that a little deflection? Who knows? Yeah, but Sojourn Ultimate still up online here. Swishy able to get that one out. Yeah, OSU Varsity in a good position and taking that health bars out for OSU JV. But look at this duplication coming out here from Pazay. Will they try and get something out of this? This is something that we want to see, but no, Vortex able to get 2. This is looking a good running number for OSU Varsity.
Yep, and they still have ultimates to work with. Overclock still online, and that's something you want, at least to continue stuffing the door and preventing JV from getting value. Especially with 60 seconds left on the clock, less than a minute, and no ultimates to work with for JV, except for a Nano and Flux that they're building towards. But that's a huge nade. Fema's finally down.
Yeah, 2 are bioed, and if you are Vortex, you're going to be able to capitalize up on this. Primal is still ready to go, but look at Papa. Popping this one. They will be able to get pressure here, so pressure's out of this. Vortex still here with the Primal, just trying to get something out of it, and it will be popped, but Flux from Ima. This is very interesting, I would say, but does get Vortex.
I think that's a good play, actually. I was watching it, and he was really waiting for Vortex to get out of Primal, drop her down to HP, and that at least forces the monkey out of the play, and he's still alive. Oh, Varsity, no ultimates to work with, so they're going to have to dry fight this, while JV has a lot of things to work with just to continue this part to move forward, as long as Erasmus stays alive, especially now that they have that Nano. You need that Nano to go to someone.
Oh. That's a little unfortunate. And OSU JV, you look at it, they're trying to capitalize. Overtime ticking. OSU Varsity is falling. Oh, did you just see that?
That
They
was a
got
C9.
it.
That was a C9.
Oh.
That was a C9. Let's be real. They opted to go for the supports, which is always a good play at the end of the day. But someone has to contest the card, especially if the Sig is just
Yeah.
sitting on it, pushing it towards lock. You got all the crazy picks. That would have been massive, especially that huge anti. Erasmus still has that nano, so they're going to at least continue moving this card forward. And that is what you want, right? Not even, and that's a big pick on the Zen. So Varsity having to slow down their pace a bit more, waiting to regroup, or at least try to get a pick.
Yeah, and duplication coming out here from the OSU JV. Can it get anything big? You do duplicate the Ana. Possibly you're trying to nano two people here. That could be the pace setting, but look at this. No one's able to touch this, but does get stopped at the 0.64. Alts are going to be popped up on the side of Varsity, but the nano getting popped up on the JV side, and JV are just controlling this one as we get to see it. And, yeah, it's unfortunate that we got to see a little bit of a remembrance of that Cloud9 phase, right? It's unfortunate to see the C9, but if you're the JV here, that kind of favored you. You have 19 seconds.
You gotta take the opportunities given to you. And that's exactly what JV did. And I wouldn't be surprised if the comms were just distract them, I'm gonna push the card, right? Your tag telling you to just like take all the brunt of the damage and let him push the cart in, because at the end of the day, that worked in your favor. And granted, it did suck that Erasmus did die with that nano initially, but I think it turned out in their favor at the end of the day when they needed it for that additional push through that third point, locking it with time in the bank. Let's put it into perspective. Time in the bank in Gibraltar is after full capping Gibraltar is very challenging. Rarely does it happen. So great job for the JV team, and I could already see the cogs turning in the head of the OSU Varsity by going for this Ana Kiriko lineup. And I think that at least allows for sustain onto Vortex, who honestly is doing such an immense job on this monkey staying alive. I think he just needs more enabling from maybe different angles, which the Brig, as much as they're there to protect the Ana, really isn't able to do as consistently as maybe a Kiriko.
Yeah, and Vortex, as you did say, always putting up that, kill feed up in their numbers. OSU Varsity looking good still. Can they make their way back into this JV team that did cap with the 19 seconds? This will be answered here soon, and Squishy Squid able to get the first initial up onto that Echo up on the side of JV, but a little bit of a Bionic up on pressure. But you're looking at that Ana. I mean, that Ana is 1 HP if you're the JV.
Yep, and if you're JV, you at least want to protect this core so that your Echo can come back to play. They will, Varsity already taking the high ground and just doing choke damage with ammo boost already dropping immensely low. No ultimates on the board yet, and that just allows the JV squad to continue pushing up and protecting this card from getting any more push.
Yeah, and both tanks getting a little aggressive, but the one to do it more is Vortex, finding that pickup on the Ima, and if you are FAMAS, you're going to get more up into this kill feed, possibly getting that Echo there, but the Echo does fall back. This is a wonderful push from the OSU Varsity. 5 minutes and 20, and Vortex is still slaying. Same with FAMAS.
Yep, unfortunate that this, JV, Echo, and Ana kind of staggered a bit, right? Rather than maybe spiking that point, try to get themselves out, but it was a bit too much. Now you're already seeing the value of that Kiriko, right? The huge antis from these Anas from both sides are doing so much work in preventing and getting immense value that you kind of need that Kiriko to cleanse it out. That is the huge benefit that the Kiriko has, especially if you're up against Anas doing a lot of damage. Copy online, I wouldn't be surprised if this is used for the next fight by Varsity.
Yeah, and let's see what happens. Nano is popped up on the Vortex, but is slept. You're looking at a 360 heal bar currently, but if you're Vortex, you are not going to, stop here. FAMAS able to keep the pressure up on, but trades going up into it. It's equal. Maybe OSU JV could get their ones back up in, but Vortex and I mean, this is everything that we've just been able to get to see. This line of immaculate pressure and domination from this varsity side is really, really showing, and I would be a little scared if you're the JV at this point.
Yeah, I think the JV team using Rally to at least sustain was not
Oh,
enough, especially with the huge stickies of Femas. And I think we're seeing at least the challenge that Varsity placed on JV squad, right? JV really spent so much time trying to get through that second point to even dwindle the clock down immensely, and the JV team weren't able to do that in time. So now you see Varsity walking into this third point with a healthy bank of 5 minutes. They can go make the really proper play, or at least if they really want to ram their heads against the wall, do that consistently.
yeah, and Sesu is able to get that pick up onto that Echo, but Sojourn Ultimate getting popped up on the side of JV. Can JV have an answer to this varsity side? They need something, but if you are the JV, maybe play this one a little back. But the Kitsune Rush is popped. Squishy Squid and Famas popping that duplication. Sesu able to capitalize up on it once again, but wonderful still aggression presser from this side of OSU Varsity. As they keep on finding more answers for this varsity side, it's going to be non-stop. They are still gambling at this point. OSU Varsity popping that nano up onto Vortex. Vortex is going to get even more quicker up into that pace. And yeah, I mean, Thor, if we say anything about these OSU teams, they bring the competition, and Varsity is the one to do it here.
Yep, Varsity locking it in with just that quick push through that second point of Gibraltar. It really made all the difference at the end of the day. But I think also just the choice to play the Kiriko, immense, right? You know that if the defense get that plain high ground where the Ana could sit comfortably, they can throw nade after nade in, right? So you really need something to clear it out. So forcing out, or at least having a Suzu when you're going through that push, I think provides more value than maybe a Brig. Because as a Brig, what ends up happening is you need to shield it off. That is your goal, and sometimes that's easier said than done. So great job at least on the tweaks of this varsity side. So really their job now is to prevent this JV team from pushing the cart as far as they can in a minute.
Yeah, I totally agree. OSU Varsity doing their ways here. Same with OSU JV. These two teams have been battling it out here up on Gibraltar Watch Points. And, this is a home territory map to any team, as, the action is always packed here. OSU Varsity, they're looking good with that time bank. They're sitting at 4 minutes and 39, and all they got to do is just defend for a minute. And here we get to see they are rolling out a spawn here. If you are the JV, you got to be a little quick here with that minute. You got to push that payload out pretty far. But if you are the JV, you're going to have to take some space to push this varsity team back, because you get to see Pop up there and Famas able to get some stickies up on the pressure. So pressure is out of this one. But if you are varsity, Famas is getting low. Varsity still just trying to find some more stuff. But OSU JV, they got to back this one up. They only got 20 seconds. Can they do something here and find an answer? Papa is up here. But, yeah, Thor, this is going to be something.
Yeah, definitely going to be something. 10 seconds left on the clock. No ultimates online, but the cart has already gone through that under passage. So this is going to be where the metal meets the road for the JV squad as they need to push it through. And I think that's why you want that double speed in onto someone, but also just to get Tizay into more chaotic positions as they needed, with already armor boost dropping to 52 HP, barely alive, and being beamed down.
Yeah, and overtime is ticking as we get to see here. OSU JV just trying to get this one pushed even more further, but it's going to be able to get shut down. Varsity doing a great job here reading everything. Vortex with a nano. Vortex is going to be able to get another one up in that kill feed, and it's everywhere. If you are OSU Varsity, declaring their statement here, they have 4 minutes and 39 seconds, Thor. That is enough time to cap that.
that is enough time to cap that, but we also know if you can create a solid defense on that high ground of Gibraltar, you could dwindle the clock down immensely, right? This is just
Yeah.
going to be a lot on JV to make sure in their defense they can stabilize as needed, right? Play, you know, angles that enable their
Mhm.
DPS, but also make sure that they don't die to random spam, because it feels like sometimes you have people like Pizza getting caught out in unfortunate locations, maybe because they're in the air, or sometimes pressure chef because they drop very low on maybe that bastion and aren't able to just self heal right away. So if
Yeah.
I'm JV, I'm not much of a fan of like what's they're rolling out with defense, but they are there to prove me wrong, right? I think antis are such a powerful tool, especially on Gibraltar,
Mhm.
that if you
Yeah.
have nothing to answer it or to cleanse it, it's kind of like a death sentence. And
Even the perk too, right? You know, you got the biotic grenade that bounces, but here
oh
we go,
no,
OSU Varsity, they are trying to do something, right? So you're looking at this 4-minute and 30 time bank, but if you're OSU JV, you're able to find a pickup on the squishy, and you're able to get another silver finding from Moss, and Ima up on the says you, so this is gonna push back OSU Varsity.
yep. And I think there was a play that was being attempted by the varsity squad of let's TP to high ground, get a lucky hook with a hog, get one out. Easy said and done. That would be great. But now you see Vortex going back to tried and tested tank to play on Watchpoint Gibraltar. As Pizza drops very low already. No ultimates to work with, but if you're JV, you need to build towards one right away to at least keep a sustain, keep this rolling, and make sure your Echo doesn't die.
So JV are just trying to find more here, and they do. Imabu's able to get Vortex, so Vortex is out of this one. If you are Varsity, you gotta bring that high pressure towards this OSU JV side, but Thor, I mean, it's been a little back and forth so far, but more action coming. Pressure almost dying there, but the rock up on the Papa. I thought Papa was dead, and as I get to say it, I'm a pause, gets Papa, and yeah, Ima does have this flux.
Yeah, Flux online, but they need to stay alive, and there's nothing to deal with an anti, which just makes it harder for them. This is allowing Varsity to roll this card down as the picks are coming with their way, and Squishy Squid doing all the work as needed, and it's all left for this JV backline to stall the cart a bit more. But they are coming in with two ultimates. One of them really great for maybe engaging or sustaining, and OSU Varsity still building up towards a nano, but are very close to it, right? So you want Saves you to get that nano so that you're able to continue this card to roll, especially if you get a huge anti into an orbital ray, because that orbital ray isn't going to save you from an anti. From an
Papa
anti.
able to get the pick. Up onto pressure. Imabooz is going to try and get something with this flux. Will it find any answers? Beat is getting popped. Orbital Ray. So much ultimate's getting popped here. 4.71 meters until this is capped here into the escort of the payload. But you're looking at OSU Varsity and a little bit of a FAMAS stall there. But OSU JV, they could possibly do this.
Yeah, Vortex having already got the pick that they need to at least whittle this down back down a bit further. Not a great trade you want. You want that Kiri to still be alive, especially when you don't have ults to work with besides a copy that might be going out to a support. But with FAMAS down, you're at least in a healthy spot for JV. You have a couple more fights you can build with, and they've dwindled the time back down to 1 minute 40, which is immensely great. You have Bob. You at least have Bob, and that's a great tool to have for this last stall as you're building towards other ultimates if you are JV. OSU Varsity, though, I think you can open up with a copy or maybe a Sojourn ult.
Yeah, and it's almost getting close to it. Is able to get FAMAS here, so taking out that other Echo. But if you are OSU JV, you do get that Bob out. Now, this could be going bad up onto the JV now because they don't got that Bob to position, and Varsity do have ults.
Wait, you have two people off Varsity behind the enemy lines. which is enough of a
Yeah.
distraction for JV. And wow, they forced the Sojourn Ultra
Oh.
back there. If I'm Fizzy, I'll take that any day. Two people behind the enemy lines and looking for that opening. That's
Oh.
fine. They'll come back. 45 seconds left on the clock, and the fight's still happening on point. But oh no, oh no.
Everything went wrong.
Everything
Everything
went
went
wrong
wrong.
there. Everything went wrong there. I think they got
So,
distracted. I think that's
yeah,
all. That's all.
I
I think that's all that happened at the end of the day, right? You know that the Sojourn pops overclock behind enemy lines. I think if you were the JV squad, you just let it be. That's a wasted ult. Don't peek it. Don't lose your life to it. If you can,
yeah.
regroup with the team, because at least you know that they're down a player in that main fight in the
Mhm.
front. And that's where the point is. That's what matters more. So unfortunately, at the end of the day, Varsity takes the map with, you know, what was once a healthy time bank with barely any time left. But hey, they sealed the deal. We're at 1-1, and this is looking like some really healthy competition between these two teams.
Yeah, I was kinda thinking, that we had another map, looking at that score line, I was like, "Wait, is it 2-1?" But, no, that is gonna be after the break here, which is gonna be, here very shortly, but, before we actually get up into the break here, Thor, so much action coming out from both of the sides here. OSU Varsity, up on the other hand, doing things which, definitely surprised the JV, but JV was not prepared.
JV definitely was not prepared for these sneaky shenanigans of someone staying at the back. But sometimes it's that confidence that really can turn things around. It's like, hey, no, I'm good here. I'm making a play. Just keep things going in the front, and that's what the varsity team did at the end of the day. So great job to them. But as we said, we will be heading towards a break, and we'll be back soon after that break.
Yeah, see you guys very shortly. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our fantastic Advanced Division. I got Thor up on my right-hand side, and Thor, I mean, this has been a series back and forth here, neutral, currently, 1-1, and, you know, I got some mixed feelings about this. This could go ways, right? You know, it's both internal collegiate scene, but, yeah, it's always exciting.
I think what's also just exciting is knowing that this is looking like it's going to be a back and forth between these two teams, and really just based on maybe what might be, their strong points for map picks. And speaking of strong point map picks, there is a reason that this OSU JV brought us to Midtown. Just statistics wise, they've won both of the times that they've brought a team to Midtown after losing the previous map. So, they've brought them to Midtown, have won Midtown. So their tried and tested map for a hybrid type is Midtown. But they have practice in that. They have no idea though what Varsity might be running in Midtown unless they've kind of figured out maybe an internal scrims. Who really knows, right?
Yeah.
But at least from track record wise on the Varsity side, they don't really have a Midtown map, so to speak of. So this is the first time we're going to be seeing OSU Varsity on Midtown. But here are the bans from both of these teams.
Yeah, OSU Varsity banning the Junkrat here, so taking the Junkrat out, it's not gonna, have that spam up in those inner corners, but as well, you have Diva getting picked here, so maybe this could be a target for the dive executing. I could see more poke or brawl, but Thor, give us some intel up on this one.
I think if you're going with a Diva, a lot of it just is to help at least eat all that damage that's coming in when you're going through chokes. But I think it also enables, any play that maybe you have a DPS trying to go for, whether it's, taking a copy in the air or making sure if you're playing a soldier and they survive through that Soj ult. There's a lot of different ways that Diva just from her utility can provide, and I think they're trying to stop Varsity from getting that value by banning this Diva. Maybe because they've seen this Diva being played in Midtown by this team. Now, the Junkrat pick is a pretty interesting one, and if I think what I'm seeing, at least from these two teams at the end of the day, just from their bans, is that
Yeah,
it's looking like Varsity is inherently a really solid dive team, right? Look at all these characters that are getting banned. A lot of them are dive based. Whereas characters that are being banned by Varsity against JV hint that this junior Varsity team prefers something that's a bit spammier, right? Like putting all the front load damage in to melt a tank. So I think a Junkrat pick might be just there to prevent spam through a choke. And maybe there is a player who is solidly good at that. But if as we load into Midtown, we will also be seeing some player swaps from both of these teams.
Yeah, and that's going to be exciting to see here. That's going to switch the polls in that, composition-wise. But you're still looking at an internal here, basically, right? You got the varsity in the JV side. And this is our little North America, Midtown, New York City vibe. Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see what both of the teams could do. As you said, I feel like we could see a lot here. There could be poke, brawl, dive, probably executed. I don't know. But yeah, this is gonna be very intriguing to watch, I'd probably say.
Yep, and I think I see the swaps in players. Septic coming in for Silver soon, and I think this is because they wanted to run that double flex support kind of setup. So Erasmu did come in playing that Ana in that previous map, and so Septic, who played Kiriko in that first map, we're now seeing that they're both more proficient in these kinds of flex support kind of heroes. OSU Varsity, though, with Angelo Lagusa back in for Vortex, is definitely a signal for something brawlier, pokier. So this is going to be a matter of trying to get picks and seeing who melts quickly, especially when there's a Discord orb online.
Yeah, and as you did say, one of the teams are bringing the Discord up into the action, which that is the JV side. But if you are the Echo up on the JV side, you're able to get it from us. And yeah, this is to be leading forward for you, able to get 2 picks up on the Varsity. And Yeah, I mean, the JV are doing a great job so far. They're controlling this corner here as we get to see Imavu's. But, yeah, Thor, they are pulling this percentage up.
And I like this swap from Famas to a Hanzo, right? That allows for a faster shield break against Imabu's shield on Sigma versus, playing Afara. Especially when you have a player like Pressure Chef who is being oppressive on the Ashe, even though they were playing Symmetra on the first point. But both sticking up on the clock, not yet online. Maybe back window is going to be first, and definitely Septic is building towards that.
And let's see what Angelo does. Off the slow there, but gets stunned by the rock. If you are on the boost, you're still just trying to push this one for the JV side, but Varsity still just trying to do something here as we get to see pop up on the high grounds, just trying to scope up onto that Echo. Seeing it sight marked. Dynamite book.
Yeah, JV really just doing their best hiding from all this poke damage with Window already online in an attempt to keep their Sigma up. Sleep lands on this Flux, but a bit too late when you have two people finally down and out, allowing the card to continue rolling for JV. But they did have to expend 2 ultimates in the process, and they're going to have to build towards maybe a Poppy just to keep things up and alive, and that might just be the sealing deal for it, especially when you're getting these last-minute picks. So if I am Varsity, it's back to the spawn room.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Back to spawn room. I think this is a pretty much you give this point to fight this next corner with a full team, and it's going to be a full team with three ults online soon to be for Varsity. Probably opening up with a rush and sustaining with a bomb.
Oh, and a TP coming out here from the side of Varsity. Maybe it's a little troll, who knows. But yeah, if you are the JV side, you have been doing pretty great pushing this forward for yourselves here, but a rock does miss, and punches are going to get thrown here if you are Angelo, and was she able to get this Kitsune rush? That is popped, but you look at the ultimates getting popped from the side of JV. They pop 2, Zen is out, but the duplication needs to find some answers, but Papa able to pop the Bob here. Maybe Bob can get some answers for this side, but Ima is able to get the Bob. So Bob is out, duplication is also out, and if you're the JV side, maybe don't worry.
Yeah, if I'm the JV side, I think it's just getting ourselves back into a healthier status, especially that Bob is online by Pressure Chef just as a parting gift after they died, and that's enough to force a bit more cooldowns from the side of Varsity, but Nano online, and that's already committed to the Ramatra of Varsity.
Yeah, and Ima does get a couple. Ima is going to be able to get Sez, and Ima once again up onto Famas, and it's interesting to tell what both of these teams could do because they know each other pretty well, right? You got the JV up on the right, which Ima has been cooking, but you look at what Angelo has been doing, throwing those punches. But yeah, it's still interesting to tell. Famas is building up that wall.
Yeah, wall soon to be up for Famas, and that's something to at least stall, especially when you finally get these picks. So maybe not needed for this next fight, as JV have to go back to spawn, regroup, and walk into this next fight probably only with a Zenyatta ultimate. So I think this is going to be a lot of dry fights poke phase for JV to build towards ults. And for Varsity, sometimes you're willing to just take that and at least find an opening, find a pick right away just to even stall that time further with 3:20 on the clock. So I'm expecting at least this wall by Famas to be popped in this next fight should JV aggressively engage.
Yeah, and let's see what happens here. If you're Angelo, you're going to be forwarding this one. Does see Ima. Ima was low, but Dynamite thrown up here. Gonna put some more pressure up on this JV squad of things. But look at that Echo being very aggressive against Papa. But wall is popped here for the side of Varsity. Will this be an advantage for them heading up into this JV side, which has been pretty dominant by far with that time range? But as it seems, if you're Varsity, you are set good up against this JV side.
Yeah, and with these dynamites just popping from the top, Bob's already online for OSU Varsity, along with some suffering in the rush. So window popped just to keep this cart rolling and create an opening for JV.
Yeah, and Kitsune Rush is popped here from Squishy up on the side of Varsity. Maybe they could get some more here, but it seems to be it was used for heals, and Bob is also launched here from Papa, but look at this. The Zen is walking forward, and this could be some devastation for the side of Varsity. The Sleep Dart up onto Bizet. Maybe this could be that answer, and you're looking at that Annihil that was popped from Angelo, and it does find something, but you look at the Zen getting that pick up onto the Ramatra. This could just be, bad for one of the sides.
Well, at least we have at least confirmed that SEZU has decided to take the double nano perk for the team, as when they dropped low, they had nano their other teammate just to keep themselves alive. Also, high ground now in the control of Varsity with no ultimates to work with. So that's going to be a bit of the pain, especially when you're walking into a Sigma Flux.
Oh!
Headshot! That's nasty.
That was nasty. I mean, that is absolutely insane. Arrow's still playing up on the Zen here, getting low, could be picked, and yes, Angelo is able to find it. But if you are OSU JV, you gotta play around these corners, right? You got this Flux ready to go. You have this Sojourn ult too, so maybe that could be popped. But OSU Varsity still holding their space against this JV team and really just stopping.
Yep, and I think that allows JV to kind of figure out a plan and how they're going to walk in. And I'm expecting them to walk in with either this Flux or this Sojourn ult, but Bizet has dropped significantly low, so they need to play their life.
Yeah, very, very true. And that wall is getting popped here from Moss. If you are the Varsity, you're going to be able to find more with Papa up on that high ground, as we get to see up on the Sleptic. Sleptic did pop the window there for the side of the JV. Will they find any answers? Maybe up on the Papa here. Papa getting low, but does get healed. And I mean, looking at the Varsity side, they are so well coordinated that they are calling everything either way if they're getting focused or not.
I think the challenge here is that you have Papa Juan in this high ground that is so oppressive. And the challenge is the fact that they're being hard enabled by Squishy Squid. Right? Any dive attempted by Bizet, even if they get their Ash dropping low, they just survive. But Transcendence pop just to stall the time, get everyone back together, but that's a huge anti, and that's not looking great for the JV squad.
Ultimate's getting popped from both of the sides, but more up on the side of Varsity. That Annihilation is going to be coming out, and Angelo able to find more. I mean, if you are Angelo, you are just finding these people, scavenging through your spaces, getting those items. And I mean, if we talk about items, it's JV, because they are falling short here. And JV does get the lead swaps, but it's not going to do them any good here. Not too bad from the side of JV, though. They had a good time pink. They were very aggressive.
Yeah, I think it's just when this Varsity team finally stopped the bleeding and got to the angles that they wanted, they felt pretty much unstoppable, right? That high ground where the Ash was playing is very oppressive, especially if you don't dump damage onto her at the same time, especially when Papa Juan's being pocketed by Squishy Squid through all of that. So great job by this Varsity team understanding their win condition, knowing that if they can prevent JV from getting even past that archway by just pumping damage in, that's great. And at the end of the day, as much as Zenyatta as a character does immense damage with the addition of Discords, Anti just ends anything from it, especially if they use Transcendence. So I would like to see this JV squad adjust a bit, maybe lock in a Kiriko down the line or something that allows for a bit more sustain through, you know, an anti-nade, because I think that's what's been hurting this team as this match has been going by, especially when SeiZu gets this solid angle. But running out with an Ana Juno, and I think this is just going to be speed in, trying to get to the point and using openings for SeiZu to get a anti once they speed in, right? Creating a bit of a distance so that their Ana can get some level of value.
Yeah, and let's see what happens here. Who will be the first one to find an answer? It's gonna be Ima, and with Squishy down, this is great pace now for this JV side to execute up on, and we get to see a little battle there happening, and Ima is able to finish off Papa.
Yep, that's back to the spawn room for one, and that's the one and only thing to do for Varsity is to go back, regroup, and go again. And there really isn't any ultimates to work with, but JV have been building towards a flux. That just shows how much Booz is doing all the damage for this team, because at 80% landing rock after damage, oh, I don't think OSU Varsity is going to be ready for the fact that there's going to be flux online in this next push.
Yeah, that is charged up so quick here for the side of the JV, and that's gonna be a massive ultimate that could possibly happen. Will it find some? And it will, kinda, possibly. Sleep is out, but this is very interesting choices from both the sides as we get to see Varsity getting some picks, but as well, JV. It's a little back and forth, right? Trade after trade. Angelo, though, getting a pickup on the Sleptic. Sleptic is out, but is, hey, able to find Angelo here. And if you're JV, you're still able to control.
Yep, and that means you have time for your supports to get back up and group. Ultimates, you have a window. At least that window will slow down the push of Varsity depending on when and where it's cast. But with Boost dropping very low, I think they need to just turn back to the corner, regroup with the team, and let this Torbjorn relieve the pressure off the team as Pizze gets another pick on Papa 1.
Yeah, and Pizze does have this duplication that could be popped any second now, and as I say it, Anile could be up online here if they charge that up to that 100, as they are that Ram, but it's gonna be questionable. You're seeing Varsity take this up of the fire station, and they also have ultimates, right? They could just walk up on this JV team, and this could be a very, very scary scenario as we get to see a TP up in the backline. And it's going to be stunned, and it's still red here. Wall is there, and if you are Varsity here, if, you know, Varsity does capitalize, and they are doing such a great job here, Thor. Great use of that Anile.
I think if I am JV right now, maybe don't contest the point. Regroup, hold that first corner, and take that high ground from themselves, especially when they're going to be at this ult advantage for the next fight. Varsity only having an orbital rate to walk in, and that's not really something that could at least deal with an incoming set of ultimates from JV, with Flux already being committed by Amaboost to stop them from pushing up.
Yeah, and let's see what happens here. JV is putting up some numbers, same as Varsity here. Both teams fighting their ways here still. A Molten Core is out, same with the transistors. Will there be answers here? Papa is able to get up on Sleptic. Pizze, though, up onto Famas, and Pizze once again up onto Papa. So if you're Pizze, you're not at that kill feed. OSU JV are finding and finding.
It looks like Varsity, for this next fight, is going to attempt to pop Bob to create the space that they need. Especially when your back is still coming back from spawn. You only have Zenyatta heals, and so you're hoping to at least get these picks and make sure you get something for the trade as your back is finally back. Sleptic up and alive, pops Lamp to keep the Sig alive.
Yeah, Speed Ring is out here if you are up on the side of Varsity, and you're going to be able to launch that Bob in if you are Papa, but able to take angles up onto Ima, and that Bob is cooking. Oh, it is just annihilating at this point. Able to find two. But yeah, if you're JV, back up, probably regroup here. That's probably your best answer to this. But looking at that ultimate economy, that's something to probably do for the JV coming up.
JV needs probably Pizze to get immense value from this next copy, whether it's copying another support, building towards an orbital ray, or maybe an Ana Nano, in order to sustain through this next fight. But you want your BAP and your SIG to build towards their respective ults, because they're the next ones online, and that's already a huge pick. Great trade from the side of JV.
Yeah, duplication coming out from Pizze. Can this be the one for JV once more? But you look at the ultimate economy getting popped up on the side of Varsity. Nano and Annihilation. Angelo tried finding something, but Pizze was there to find them. OSU JV, though, who did pop the window, still do have the flux. So they could wait for this Varsity team if they wanted.
Yeah, and I think that flux would be a great way to also just stop this varsity team from pushing through with an orbital ray, which Squishy Squid is already building up towards orb on the Sigma, just so that Erasmus can build towards Transcendence, because I think that's also your only answer to deal with an incoming push with the orbital ray. So JV have an idea of what ultimates are coming up, and they need to protect themselves against it.
Yeah, Azrael does have that ultimate ready to go. Same with Ima Blues. Can the Flux find something here? It needs to be big for this JV side. Doesn't find much, but Orbital Ray was popped. Angelo able to find
Right?
more. Oh, and yeah, point was. Did we call that a scene replay? Yikes.
JV had
Pressure.
that. The JV, let's be
He
real.
did.
JV had that. They just needed one more person to be on the point, because I think that was overtime. And with Pressure Chef having, Molten Core, that could have sealed the deal, but it's just unfortunate. And
Oh,
as we could see, we have Sticky Turret online by Pressure Chef, and I think that's going to be immensely annoying if you are a, you know, team of brawler tank players trying to push their troops. More so a Tracer who probably can't do enough damage to that turret from the low ground or wherever they can reach.
yeah, I very much agree here. Varsity is gonna have to put up something against that turret. But Molten Core does get out here if you are pressure. Ultimate's still building, but yeah, if you are the side of Varsity, you're gonna have some ultimates here.
Yeah, Varsity probably are doing one of my favorite plays in the book. Oh my gosh, it's Poke
Oh,
Pulse!
oh my goodness. So Famas is able to find some answers here up in that kill feed, and you look at the Varsity pace now. It is all in for them. OSU Varsity gonna be able to take this one, hopefully. Unless if OSU JV gets back to this one, they did swap to the Tracer. They will be there. Immore is taken out. But you're looking at Famas, which has just been cooking, and that is going to be that end of Midtown here, Thor. Wonderful work from the Varsity, but as well, wonderful work from the JV.
JV almost had it in that second point, just really the unfortunate silly little letter number happening at the end of the day.
Yeah,
So they're probably going to
2-9.
be looking back at that in the VODs and being like, maybe we should have just died a point. At least one of us should have committed to the cause to make sure we won the map. But looks like even with their choice of map pick and something that they've heavily practiced on and gotten wins on previously, the JV are now in the back foot and having to at least fight for this next map for even a shot at winning their matchup against the varsity team. So it's back on their end, and this time they get to decide which, specific flashpoint map we're going to, right? So we'll see what they have to decide upon for this next choice.
Yeah, and Varsity, this is pretty much expected, right? A higher end team with those names. Varsity doing their way there up in that Midtown. I was quite surprised that we got to see another, miscap there that happened to like the Watch Munch brother. But yeah, that is something that JV can look back up on. But it's now to question me. JV has a ban, same with Varsity, right? They could target ban each other, or they could take stuff out of those competitions. It's gonna be something to watch out for here, Thor. But yeah, OSU Varsity running with it right now, 2-1, dominant performance as by far.
Exactly. And if there's one thing that I think both of these teams have shown us is that they're very competitive. They can keep up with each other's shenanigans, and that the, 2-6 rankings, right, in the advanced division, like they're one of them being, at second seed, the other one currently at 6, doesn't really matter at the end of
Yeah.
the day because they can keep up and match up with each other. And finally, OSU JV has decided to bring us to New Junk City. So this is possibly really at the end of the day just to prevent themselves from going to a map that they lost I think on their first week against Kobosu on I think no, that was a push map. So
Something like
hey,
that.
they something like that. They won New Junk City against Cat Girls. So we're about to see if they can replicate that scenario. But OSU Varsity have done the same thing against Paradise Lost. So if there's one thing we're definitely sure of, it's going to be another banger between these two teams. And somehow I will not be surprised if a letter number happens again in one of these points.
Yeah, and the aggression of events that just happen up on this New Junk City map, it's always questionable because when a team goes around the corner, one team is surprised by it. It really just depends up on that composition. But something that really depends are those hero bans. That's going to be that question mark statements. That's going to answer something here very shortly. And if I were to say anything about a ban, maybe they got to target those DPS or even the tanks.
I think if there is something you want to ban or hurt a team with, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Kiriko ban at the end of the day, especially if you still want to play that Ana. But it looks like we are not going with any of those bans. We are banning a tank and a support with this Varsity team deciding to ban the Sigma, which honestly, if we have seen Amabu's immense work done on that Sigma, right? Anytime they were on Sigma, they were just pumping out damage, having flux way earlier than you would expect from a Sigma. So I think that is a heavily targeted ban to just really lock this map into place in their favor. On the other side, the JV team banning Soj means a lot of things. I think the railgun damage was very oppressive for that one shot
Yeah.
potential and did hurt this JV team in not just the previous map but all other maps. And honestly, the E ability of Sojourn can also get very annoying and oppressive, and I hate it.
Yeah. Doesn't it like now stick to people now? Like where it just follows them or it's
It
like
depends
on them?
if you get the perk, right? That's just one of it.
Oh
I
yeah.
think it's if you get the perk that allows it to kind of like stick and follow, which is even massively more annoying, right? Especially when you're
Yeah.
like trying to hide because you're already like low HP, and then you're just like, hey, chucks the thing in the court or in the room, and like you're just dead. Like you try to play safe, and then you're just unable to because of its AoE damage. So I'm not too surprised by the Sojourn ban at the end of the day. So interesting to see what we're going to run out, but hey, if there's one thing I do like seeing, it is some silly little Lucio gameplay. So I'm hoping to see some, Lucio shenanigans, at least for this map. And if not, boo.
Yeah, as a Lucio player myself, that's actually quite funny that you say that. I actually got a 5k poop up on here somewhere. I don't know how I did it, but everybody was stacked up on the corner of where the 1 point was, where you make that escort. It was very high intel gameplay for me. I don't know how I did it. It must have been like a 5 or 4k. Probably a 4k. 5k is a little unexpected, right? But OSU Varsity, though, sitting at 2-1. This is definitely going to be exciting. I am prepared for it, but are you prepared for it, Thor?
Why? These teams. Let me play. I sort of. Aw, man. You know what? Whatever. I want to just deal with this. JV running out with a Ramacha first. I think we've seen for today for Amabu's on this character, and they are definitely expecting this anti-nades from Seisu, who's really doing a lot of work. So Septic on the Kiriko is definitely a much needed call. So we're having the speed, we're having the pumping healing, but the anti-nades won't stop, Seisu. They're just going to still do it somehow.
Able to get that initial with that anti, and if you are OSU JV, you can basically sit back, right? You don't gotta worry, and that perk, as you did say, with the Curie is actually insane. You get to do infinite TPs, right? So that's gonna be something to watch for, but look at that anti getting cleansed. That's a great use of that Curie cleanse, but OSU JV, I'm a booze, just trying to find some answers. Make it rain, though. Playing the Junkrat, able to find Angelo.
Yep, Angelo finally down picks along the way for JV, and that should seal the point in their favor, especially when there's no tank to really contest. So Varsity decided to regroup go back to spawn and make sure they're a full 5 when they re-engage again. And they are definitely going to be able to re-engage with a nano and potentially goodbye.
Wow. Yeah,
Kunais are
Slapstick
fun.
able to get a headshot.
And that
Yeah,
leads
very, very
Slapstick,
short too.
yeah, that allows Slapstick to build towards now that Kiriko ult, which they at least now have for this next engagement, especially into a singular target nano of Sezu. So Rush already popped out window to push this Varsity team out and into an uncomfortable sideline.
Yeah, Kitsune Rush was popped here by Slapstick, but does cleanse that anti-grenade. I do like how Varsity are playing, though, but is it gonna match the pace of the JV? They do get this cap here, so 41% ticking, but both of the teams still with some ultimates, but JV probably just take this one back, but it is contested by the Tracer.
Yeah, Fama's trying to do their best contesting, and that's a huge anti-surge combo from OSU Varsity, but they flipped the point in the process for JV. So, honestly, I'll take it if I were at least this Varsity team, right? You know, you somehow force the flip into your side a bit, allowing the percentage to tick up. So, OSU JV, though, 4 ultimates this next fight, whereas OSU Varsity only has 3. So there's going to be a lot of interaction happening, but someone has to touch the point, and I wouldn't be surprised if they come in with this orbital ring.
Oh, when multiple ultimates there getting popped, so no DPS up on the side for both of the sides. But you look at that Annihil, Squishy Squid able to find one up on to make it rain, but Ima still just trying to find some, but Famas positioning very well up onto this Tracer, putting more pressure up onto Ima, and you know, if you're the JV here, Thor, you're still running with this percentage.
Yeah, you're still running with this percentage. Your team is finally back in that high ground, especially with this tire that is going to cause a bit more chaos along with the high noon, which is slept and out. Tire does get Sezu, and that's massive damage into the team of this Varsity, especially when the picks are coming back.
Yeah, and let's see what both of the teams do here. Overtime ticking. If you are the JV, you're playing this low ground. Same with the Varsity. They're just trying to have an answer to this JV side, but JV is cooking them right now. They are burning the Varsity, as it seems to be. And yeah, Thor, let's just head to the next one, right?
Head to the next one. Yep, head to the next one. Luckily enough, no C9 shenanigans happened. It looked like Erasmo was like, no, I will die for the cause this time. Like, if I die trying to contest the point, this is completely fine, right? But next fight, you have this Terra Surge Nano coming online for Varsity, and I wouldn't be surprised if that anti-combination is going to happen again for the side of Varsity. As for the JV, you're going to have Rush, but that huge pick against Femas might slow down the push of Varsity, allowing them to soft regroup a bit, so the point should go in the favor of JV this time around. And that is a flank from Pressure Chef saying, nope, go back to spawn, and I think maybe hightailing it back to spawn is a great idea. So point should turn over to JV. Rush online, Noon online for JV. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be a Rush High Noon combo. And Femas popping out with the Para. And I think that should at least relieve some pressure on Angelo Lagusa, because now Pressure Chef has to look at the
Yeah, and let's see what happens here. Slapstick popping the Kitsune Rush. Maybe this could be more aggression, but not too much looking at from us. But you're there, you're flying up in the sky, but look at that Nano up onto Angelo. Could be some answers more. And, you know, we just get to see from this Orisa player here, Thor, they're always there to find and, you know, just do what they do. They're doing a great job, I would probably say. And Varsity now back up in the percentage run.
This seems like the winning combo for at least for them to get the point, right? The Nano combination onto that Terror Surge from Angelo Lagusa has been creating these openings for the Varsity team. So now that they don't have this for this incoming push of JV, I wouldn't be surprised if this flips around and turns into the favor of JV, especially when they have Orbital Ray and, you know, suffering of Ima boost, because they are suffering not being able to place it.
Yeah, and let's see what happens here. Both teams with ultimates. Famas playing off of this angle here, but look at that anti. But it is cleansed with 2. If you are the one to find answers, maybe it's JV here, but it's more up on the side of Varsity. Very good numbers tallying And yeah, Thor, it's gonna go back to this varsity side. If I were to say anything about them, they're bringing that action.
Yep, and Ultimates to work with. At least you have Slapkick finally back close with that with that rush. But Tyre is expended by Make It Rain trying to find an opening. Gets the Ash to immensely low, forcing Papa One out of this fight for maybe just a bit. And I think that's what you want from this JD squad.
Yeah, and maybe they are just trying to make it rain, but Papa back and answering it with the bomb there to position up on the point. Pure Angelo, you're able to get some new there, and yeah, this is good from the side of Varsity because now they're gonna have a point going up into the third sector here, up in our flashpoint.
Yep, and in that process, you did at least see Make It Rain. At least expend that tire so you know going into this next fight it's not going to be there. So JV still has that rush, so they're at least going to be able to open it up with them. But whether that's going to be enough to deal with this nano surge combo yet again from Varsity, that's most unlikely to happen, especially when there's no other ult for the JV to enter in with. So this is going to be a lot of being precise on who to go on to for this engagement and finding an opening.
Alright, so Slapdick with the Kitsune rush to get back up into this one if you are the JV, but you look at the Pharah player. You're able to get the pick up on the Slapdick. So Kiri is down, but look at Pressure. Pressure able to get taken down too. Papa able to find one up on the Make It Rain, and why not just do it again here up onto Ima. Papa there once more, and this team of the Varsity have just been doing it here, and they are the first one to get some percentage here.
Yep, and they only had to expend that nano in the process. So Terra Surge still available for that next push, looking like Angelo Gusa opting to use the charge lance instead of a shield, which honestly, not a bad selection, especially if you're trying to, you know, cancel and pressure people out compared to a shield. I think that is a solid pick. JD though walking in with no ultimates, but a pick onto the Pharah, it might be just the opening you need, because that's less aerial pressure onto your Ramata as allowing Amabusa charging.
Yeah, it could just be, but Seju does take out those new. So if you are OSU JV, you're able to pop this Annihilation. This could be that aggression that they needed, but Papa able to take that one out very quickly, and OSU Varsity still have some ultimates, right? But Famas able to get one up onto Make It Rain is very good, I'd probably say.
Yep, and no now other ultimates need to be expended by this team, as you know, even with both tanks down, it just seems that the the support line and DPS line of Varsity just locking it in better for the team. Swaps made for JV. It looks like Imabus is trying to find an answer to all this damage coming in, and thinking the Zarya might just be the select pick, but with 4 ultimates online for Varsity, they are going to be walking into a lot of hurt. They are, you could see from the swaps, JV are trying to find an answer to all this damage that is coming in, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I could see maybe Erasmu go into something more like maybe an Ana, something like a Baptiste, something that allows like your Orisa to sustain a bit more through all this damage and burn that's coming in from the enemy team, while still doing damage.
Yeah, that could definitely happen here. Varsity looking very deadly with their ultimate economy. The first to capture, though, and is up on the objective, are the JV. So they could find a position to go around this Varsity side with their ultimates. But the tire is going to be there. But look at this. The Terra Surge maybe could find some answers. No. Squishy Squid, though, finding one up on the Make It Rain to cancel. And so much more going up onto the side of Varsity.
Yeah, great opening on the side of Varsity with, you know, just a last-minute trade from Slaptic. Hopefully they regroup with their other support at the end of the day. JV, with that rush, with that Bob, I think that is enough of a ultimate to work with for this opening, especially maybe in a Bob v Bob situation. Yeah. You are at least hoping Famas doesn't get value with this barrage, or at least find them out right away, make them uncomfortable that they can, you know, situate in a space that they can use this barrage.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to be very exciting, but look at this. Slapdick going in with the Kitsune Rush, but Famas able to get pressure there, so no Bob just yet for this JV side, but there is a Bob out, and it is Papa's. And Papa is able to find a pickup onto Ima, and says you with 2. That's something that you don't get to see from an Ana player.
Yeah, no, Says You has been doing immense work for this varsity squad. Huge nades all the time, and even contributing to the kills at the end of the day. Percentage ticking down. This is the last push for JV, and someone has to touch, and unfortunately Amabuz takes all that damage, is unable to, and that is pretty much it. Locked and solidly going in the favor of OSU Varsity.
Yeah, I mean, this is great for the varsity, but this is also a good scenario for the JV, right? You can take a look, possibly ask your varsity friends and say, hey, how'd you win this one against us? You know, just walk right over to their, area. But yeah, OSU though played a very, very good game if you are the varsity. Papa was always there, which that was fantastic to see from that DPS player, but even Famas and Angelo. There were so much good names from this OSU varsity team to mention, but it's going to be hard to decide an MVP here, I'd probably say.
I think if there is something that really stood out to me from this game time and time again, it really is just how much of an impact their Ana player contributed to the game, right? I think that Says You just immensely turned fights just from those anti-nades, right? And sometimes even those sleeps to just stop a push. So I personally think I would want to give some, shout out to really solid support gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, supports have been doing a good job here throughout the divisions of SPCS, even up in the lower divisions, right? But this is the advanced division, the hypest division there is. I know that for a fact. But yeah, this is great. If I were to say anything from the side of varsity, maybe the Ash player. I mean, Ash was always hitting shots there up on the side of varsity, hitting nice dynamites, but you look at how they played the Farah too. That was also precise. So there's things to definitely look at here. It's a decision to be made here very shortly. But yeah, I'm clueless. Maybe you got to make this decision for me, Thor.
I think because the DPS line both equally contributed, that from whether it was the Farah player, whether it was the Ash player, right? Both DPS contributed. I really feel like at the end of the day, I do want to give this to that backline of Says You, because I think at the end of the day, just even from that solid defense on Gibraltar, that lives rent-free in my mind, right? Barring the fact that there was a C9, that could have been played so perfect. That was played almost to perfection because of these anti-nades, these combinations that came in from Says You. So I would love to give it to them.
Yeah, and here we go. We get to see Gatsu up on the side, and yeah, they definitely deserved this MVP. And yeah, this is fantastic. They did a great work, even up on the Ana, like getting 2 picks there up on the New Junk City. That was cool.
Yeah, not just New Junk City. I think they were on the kill feed a couple of the times on the killing side. On the killing
so
side.
much, yeah.
Right. They knew how to keep themselves alive, but also just enable the team. So it was spectacular gameplay from them. But Nyah, this is the end for probably this week's set of matches for SPCS, right? So any last set of words?
Well, if you are a team like a varsity and JV team, don't be disappointed, because if you are the JV or the varsity, just walk right over to each other's place and say, hey, what you do to win this one? I feel like that's going to happen, right? Or maybe there's going to be some trash talk. But yeah, I still questions the C9s. Maybe they got to look back at that. Both of the teams probably. But yeah, one of these OSU teams cooked tonight, and it was definitely the varsity. But yeah, that's really all that I got to say here.
Yep, and here we are with the current standings of this advanced division. Looks like some of the teams aren't playing today compared to others, but after this matchup, it looks like OSU Varsity have kept their spot on the second seed, and same goes for this JV squad. So might be just Concordia Wild win on that fifth spot due to opponent map pick wins. So pretty solid from these teams. They at least kept to where their standings are. And hey,
Yeah.
that's sometimes all you need for a team. Like even if you lost against, your the varsity team, right? You still kept your standings in the current rankings, and there is VODs to work over, things to improve on.
Mhm.
You could definitely look at that first map in Busan and say, hey, we did this so well. How can we replicate this in other maps? And also for the other maps, just saying, hey, where can we fix these minor kinks like those C9s, those unfortunate like no touches, and maybe those slight awkward fights
Yeah.
and chases that happen. So lots to work with for these two teams.
Yeah, it's exciting. This is our advanced division. I miss it. Hopefully, I get put more up on the advanced division. I would love to cover more of this playoff scenario heading up into it. But yeah, as you did say, it's not too much of a change for both of the teams. You're still sitting at that 2-6 number for your seeding numbers. But yeah, just great performance overall. They definitely deserved it. It's kind of like a draw, like a little neutral, a little bit
Uh-huh.
of different, map differential. But yeah, that will be all here for us today. I am Nyah, the play-by-play, and Thor, you are our color. Usually I'm the one that does color, but hey, that was nice to fill in.
Yeah. But that is pretty much it for us on the SPCS broadcast. Join us next week for, the next set of week 4 matches, starting off with that rookie div yet again on Monday. So to all those who are here, thanks for watching, and to give a shout out to our production staff at the back, with Person running as our producer, and Layla and Jaffa running as our observers. They have done a great job to keep this up and running. But and Solomon. So great job to all of them. But as you said, that is pretty much the last set of matches on the stream this week. Tune in next time for next week's rookie division matches yet again. So everyone have a good night.
You guys.